Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to the inaugural session of the Gratitude Week on the occasion of National Doctors' Day. I'm Kamal Narayan, CEO of ISW Council, India's premier institution for health advocacy and awareness. 30 months back, on January 27, 2020, our nation came face to face with one of the gravest crises that mankind has faced in the form of a pandemic named COVID-19. From that day, when we reported the very first case of the novel coronavirus, we went through an unprecedented phase of uncertainty and upheaval that turned the lives of most of us upside down. Though the normalcy in the life that we see today may give us an impression of having come out of that phase, we all know the harsh nature of this calamity that left many scars that may take a lifetime to heal. But yes, today when we find ourselves moored at a much safer harbor with an arsenal of knowledge and the record 2 billion doses of COVID vaccines administered to people, we must not forget that ferocious war that we have been through, and those heroes who become the shield for our life while putting theirs at risk in fighting the alien disease. You all know these heroes and their sacrifices. They led the fight against COVID-19 in their white coats and protective kits. They were our doctors, nurses, lab technicians, ambulance drivers, and paramedics who fought this war at hospitals and on the streets. So our pharma professionals did that at medical plants, and scientists at laboratories chasing the fast evolving virus constantly to come up with a protective vaccine. This Gratitude Week, which the ISW Council initiated on the Doctors' Day, July 1, 2020, when we were in the middle of the crisis, became the converging point for the swelling national feeling of thankfulness, indebtedness, and the sheer appreciation for the sacrifice of these frontline warriors. Our health workers were making that sacrifice. As we observe this Gratitude Week on its third consecutive year, that feeling has only got deeper, as we know that it is only because of them we and many of our loved ones could not only reach to this day, but could also protect us going forward with excellently effective vaccines that have almost completely stopped the deadly spree of the virus. The Gratitude Week, which starts from the National Doctors' Day, observed on the birth and death anniversary of the legendary Indian physician and Bharat Ratna Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, is also a medium to remind everyone about the role of our healthcare workers play in protecting our health and lives from a barrage of diseases, infections, and traumas in our day-to-day life. So their fight for our health go far beyond the pandemic. In the last 2 years, the movement turned into a public celebration to express their love and thankfulness to these saviors, with children, artists, social influencers, professionals, policymakers, and politicians all coming together in marathon virtual programs paying tribute to them. The incredible participation of people from all walks of life also made Gratitude Week one of the most awarded public interest campaign in the last 2 years. So before we move forward, let's have a recap of what happened in the last 2 years of Gratitude Week.
डब्ल्यू के द्वारा जो ये आपने डॉक्टर्स डे पर, चिकित्सा दिवस पर इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया है, मैं आप सबको हृदय की गहराई से आप सबके प्रति आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ।
Congratulating the Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council for this unique gesture to honor the doctors and other people in the medical community who are the most dependable resources to fight this pandemic.
7 दिनों में भाग लिया है, तो सभी का मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ। डॉक्टर डे के अवसर पर दुनिया के सभी डॉक्टर को, भारत के सभी डॉक्टर को मैं शुभकामना देता हूँ, हार्दिक बधाई देता हूँ। जय भीम, जय भारत।
I would really say the doctors have actually risen to this challenge in this unprecedented times, and that is something which is very heartening, not only in our country but at a global level.
Our doctors and nurses, they work tirelessly and never deny care. We salute them all and thank to them. They are our heroes and shine like a gem.
मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा, इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू। अल्लाह के बंदे हंस दे, जो भी हो कल फिर आएगा।
This year, leveraging the opportunity that the hard-earned normalcy has given, we are taking this celebration to a larger masses through a slew of high decibel activities throughout the week with support from partners from across the nation. Beginning today, nearly 100 major hospitals and diagnostic centers nationally will see people expressing their gratitude through messages, candles, walks, runs, cycle rallies, music performances and around their premises, or many people from public simply walking up to doctors and presenting a gratitude flower. And to give a perfect start to this wonderful week-long celebration, we are extremely proud to have with us today some of the most dedicated and passionate champions of health and also exemplary doctors who led the fight against COVID-19 from the front on this inaugural session of Gratitude Week. So let me welcome Dr. Chandrakant S. Pandav, is currently professor and head of the Department Center of Community Medicine at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, New Delhi. Known as the Iodine Man of India, Dr. Pandav has been awarded the National Civilian Honor of Padma Shri. His research and advocacy have contributed to the success of the National Iodine Deficiency Disorders Control Program and mandatory universal salt iodization. We also have with us Dr. Suresh Kumar, Medical Director, Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital, New Delhi, which functioned as the national capital's dedicated COVID-only hospital during the pandemic. As a medical director of this key public hospital, he led the fight against COVID-19 from the front. We will be joining by Dr. Harsh Mahajan, the founder and chief radiologist at Mahajan Imaging. He was honored with Padma Shri by the Government of India for his contribution to the field of radiology and imaging. Currently, he represents the entire ecosystem of Indian healthcare industry as the president of NAT Health. We have with us Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, member of Governing Board of National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, a global public health expert, and also the chairperson of Indian Academy of Public Health. He is also a member of the ISW Council Apex Advisory Board. We are being joined by Dr. Syam Sundar, President, Association of Physicians of India. Dr. Syam Sundar is a distinguished professor of medicine in the Institute of Medical Sciences at BHU. The Association of Physicians of India that he heads represent around 18,000 members, and most of them worked as frontline COVID warriors. We will be joined by Dr. Hema Devakar, CEO and Chairman of Asian Research and Training Institute for Skill Transfer Artist, Foxy Ambassador to FIGO. Dr. Devakar is one of the most ardent advocate of women's health, is working with a vision to improve healthcare ecosystem for the welfare of women and children in our country. She is also instrumental in our mega mission for women's health called Sapath 1000 Days, and has been improving health outcomes through large-scale training programs across the country. We will be joined by Dr. Jugal Kishore, Director, Professor and HOD of Community Medicine, Vardhaman Mahavir Medical College and Safdarjung Hospital. Dr. Jugal Kishore is a passionate medical educator and is deemed an expert in public health. He is a prolific writer and philanthropist. He has also authored many books on public health and national health programs. We will be joined by Dr. Suchin Bajaj, Founder Director of Ujala Cygnus Hospital. Dr. Bajaj is an avid healthcare entrepreneur and investor. He is associated with multiple health tech companies as investor, board member, and mentor. But more importantly, he has been on the forefront of Corona, fight throughout this pandemic, leading from the front his army of medical professionals from nearly 15 hospitals that he runs across Delhi and surrounding northern states. We are also joined by Dr. Govind Makharia. He is the professor in the Department of Gastroenterology and Human Nutrition, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. He has received many awards, including BMJ Southeast Asian Research Paper of the Year Award, along with his other exemplary work in the area of healthcare. Dr. Sunil Khetrapal, Director, Association of Healthcare Providers, AHPI. The association works to facilitate member organizations in improving their ecosystem, their system, processes, and outcome continuously for a healthy society. So before we hear our esteemed guests who have joined on this very special day of National Doctors Day, we are also delighted to share that Dr. Manjupara Mahendra Bhai, Honorable Minister of State for Women and Child Development and Ayush Government of India, has most graciously shared his insights on the role of doctors in our lives and also extended his best wishes to them on National Doctors Day. So let's hear it from him.
Namaskar. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council for organizing the Gratitude Week to pay tribute and commemorate doctors and frontline workers who played a pivotal role in mitigating the aftermath of the pandemic. The COVID-19 not only made us realize the fragility of human life, but also the significant role that doctors play in our lives and the sacrifice that they undertake to ensure our physical and mental well-being. The efforts that were taken by frontline workers during the pandemic can never be forgotten, putting their own lives and the health of their families at risk with selfless determination for sake of saving lives. They truly are our heroes in these challenging times. I would like to take this opportunity provided by IHW Council in the form of Gratitude Week to thank all the physicians and healthcare professionals of this country for their hard work, thoughtfulness, and commitment during this challenging time. The nation is indeed indebted to you and owes you the courage that helped us sail through pandemic. As we move forward, we know that the pandemic continues to evolve and the healthcare community must continue to deliver high quality care to all patients. The future of healthcare industry depends on the doctors of tomorrow. The pandemic has trained us all, including the medical fraternity, that the basis of healthcare in future should be humanistic, competent, and patient-centric. Thank you.
Eternal vigilance is the price of safety. And number two, India should continue to focus on health promotion activities. Today, India's orientation, 90% of the budget is spent on curative services. That's my second message. The third message is the GDP. We spend only 1.8% of the GDP on health. That should increase to at least minimum of 3%. So these are the three important messages I want to give before I tell you the story. First of all, Dhanyavad, Shukriya, Shukrana, gratitude to the Corona warriors, and you mentioned all of them. It was an excellent teamwork. Nani Palkiwala said that Indians are excellent solo players, but we make a very poor orchestra. India's fight against Corona, we showed the world that we are the world's leader in many of the things, and if given a challenge, the Indians can come together and make up a very good orchestra. I want to tell you, Kamal, the films that you showed is a very good film. And I think that should be a part of school education, not only medical education, but all the schools, universities, medical colleges should be shown that film. Kamal, that's my first suggestion to you. One picture is better than 1,000 words. So I think I want to congratulate the team that made the films. I want to give a broader perspective. In our Sanskrit language and in our literature, we say that Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Nakachidam Sarvavata Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Here it's important in English, we say, may all be happy. May all be happy. May all be free from illness. May all see which is good and auspicious. May no one be sad or distressed. And may there be eternal peace. So this is an excellent Sanskrit verse I given an English translation. Indian culture believes that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world is my family. And coronavirus precisely demonstrated. It did not respect any political boundaries, any caste, any creed, color. So Vasudeva Kutumbakam, I'm very, very proud of my Indian culture, very proud. Now coming to what Sanjeev Kumar is very famous for, is social development goals. That's Sanjeev's favorite area. The one on health is number 3, good health and well-being, good health and well-being. Now I want to expand the dimension of well-being to wellness. That's why integrated health wellness is very important. There are 8 dimensions of health. We have gone beyond the traditional definition of WHO, which was given in 1948, that health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely absence of disease or infirmity. The 8 dimensions of health are physical, intellectual, environmental, emotional, financial, social, spiritual, and occupational. So we have expanded the definition of health. And Kamal, we should bring this to the notice that it's gone, the 1948 is past. Now we have to look at wellness in the 8 dimensions of health. Now today is 1st July. It's a coincidence that the birth day of Bidhan Chandra Rai was 1st July 1882. And he also passed on, I'm using the word passed on 1st July 1962. He lived for 80 years. The first time the Doctors' Day was celebrated in India was 1991. First time. So this is the 41st Doctors' Day that we are celebrating. It's very interesting when you talk of the numbers. 1961, Dr. B.C. Rao got the Bharat Ratna Award. And very interesting thing, as a part of the research I did, he was Mahatma Gandhi's personal physician. I didn't know about that, so I did. Kamal ne humko research karne ke liye boya, humne bataya, Mahatma Gandhi. Now I just want to briefly, since time is limited, tell you about the 6 best doctors. The sun, Suraj, not the sons of India. The Suraj is the best doctor. 6, number 2, rest. Minimum of 6 to 8 hours rest is very important. Power nap in the afternoon is welcome. Number 3, exercises. Walk the talk, cycling. Yoga, I again focus on yoga. And there are 5 components of pranayama. Om, It's a primordial sound. It's the pulse of the universe. In 1 minute, you should say 6 times, 18 minutes, 108 times, and say it 3 times a day. Om, 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 Om. Doctor from AMS is telling you on pranayama. Number 2 is do Brahmari. When you do Brahmari, you generate nitrous oxide, and that kills all viruses and bacteria in COVID-19. Number 3 is low and low. Number 4 is Kapal Bharti, and number 5 is Bastrika. AIMS ka doctor, modern medicine ka is promoting yoga, which is the ancient cultural practice. Number 4 doctor is the diet. You should eat food as a medicine, or else you'll have to eat medicines. You'll have to eat medicines as food. Number 5, self-respect. Swami Vivekananda said, believe in yourself. Self-respect is an important doctor. And number 6, friends. Friends, as we grow older, we realize we must not look for perfection in friends, but affection. संजीव हमारे दोस्त है, गोविंद हमारे दोस्त है, इस माध्यम के से डॉक्टर श्याम हमारे दोस्त बन गए, डॉक्टर हेमा है, और कमल आप तो हमारे प्यारे दोस्त है. तो दोस्ती का तुम्हारे in the 6 doctor is very important. Now briefly, in the last 100 years, there have been 10 pandemics, 10. And the human history...
So did you miss out music?
That I want to tell you last. You have to dance. Where medicine fails, music heals. Where medicine, हमको आपको नाच के दिखा दूंगा मैं. I'll tell you. Where medicine fails, music heals. So this is the 20th pandemic in the human history. I failed to understand why this got so much of attention. Because primarily, a lot of people died in a very short period of time, and we are caught unaware. Otherwise, we have neglected diabetes, hypertension, road traffic accidents, pregnancy, asthma, cancer. That should not have taken place. And finally, I want to tell very strongly, Sanjeev, no public health expert was involved in the advice in the government. That is the greatest blunder the government did. No public health. I will say that openly on the top of my voice again and again. There is a story. Clinicians are good in fishing. Public health are good in running. So rabbit is a good runner. They chose to take advice from the fish rather than the rabbit. It's the greatest blunder the government of India has done, greatest blunder. So I would end by my dance from music. हम आपको गाना से सुना देंगे. वीर ज़ारा का गाना आपके सामने हम बता देंगे. म्यूजिक में क्या शक्ति है, क्या शक्ति है. वीर ज़ारा तेरे लिए, हम तेरे लिए नाचेंगे. कमल तेरे लिए नाचेंगे. I'm getting my, just give me a minute. Just 1 minute.
Wonderfully, I think covered, sir. Your message of 6 best doctors is really something which should reach to everyone. Everyone should understand that. Wonderful. This is the, I think.
Coronavirus.
सर गाना तो हम तक नहीं आ रहा, लेकिन आपकी जेस्चर से अब हम समझ सकते हैं कि आप जो है कन्वे क्या कर रहे हैं. लेकिन बहुत ही सुंदर जेस्चर है कि आपने इस जो ग्रेटिट्यूड वीक का जो एक इथोस रहा है कि हमने म्यूजिशियन, सिंगर्स, आर्टिस्ट, बच्चों सबको इन्वॉल्व किया कि जिससे हम आर्ट के माध्यम से भी ये कन्वे कर पाए कि जो डॉक्टर्स का जो हेल्थ का हमारे जिंदगी में रोल है वो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है। धन्यवाद सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
एक दिन आके डांस करेंगे।
A lot of gratitude to you, sir, for your wonderful work. And as you said that COVID-19 is not the only challenge which we as a country has been facing, and we as people, there are so many that, and one of that you tried and kind of addressed very well, the iodine deficiency, which itself was kind of a epidemic, if not pandemic, in our country. And I think many other countries will share the same kind of fate.
SOS for a billion. I've written a book called SOS for a billion.
Yeah, so that is something so seminal of work. And thank you so much. I just take from the entire ISW Council, on behalf of it, I take this opportunity to express my deep felt gratitude, sir, for all your wonderful work, and there's such a wonderful liveliness at this stage of life where you continue to help and contribute for the promotion of the health. Thank you so much, sir. So I go to your best friend in that case, to Dr. Sanjeev Kumar now. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, you have been on the forefront of spreading a lot of important information all across this, all throughout this pandemic phase, and doing several programs, writing articles, tweeting information and all that. And encouraging people. I have been hearing you so passionately talking about the vaccination, and we know those time when we were organizing Corona vaccine utsavs and encouraging people. A lot of hesitancy was there that time. Today we stand at a situation where 2 billion doses have been administered, almost and almost I think nearly a billion people have been fully administered the vaccine. So that is I think the long journey and great feats have been achieved by this wonderful teamwork of the healthcare workers. And I'm sure that you take a lot of pride as being a public health expert from India, who has worked across the globe and knows the good and the bad and the pros and cons of many healthcare systems. How has been that feeling, sir? And what's your message to the healthcare as a community, professionals as a community, and also for the people of India? Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you, Kamal. It's always wonderful to be associated with Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council. Kamal, you remember about 5 years back, we met in IHMR. You had come to visit me and you told me about Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council, and I got very excited because as a public health person, I always feel that well-being is not getting attention. And that brings me to a point, what is health and what is well-being? We normally turn to WHO for definition, and I have been turning towards ancient Indian wisdom. I found a Ved mantra in Yajurved. It is Om Tachakshru Deva Hitam Purasta Chukra Mucharata Pashem Sharda Shatam Jivem Sharda Shatam Shrunyam Sharda Shatam Pebravam Sharda Shatam Adina Syam Sharda Shatam Bhuyascha Sharda Shata. I will not give the detailed meaning, but in brief it says, we pray to God that we live for 100 or more years, we continue to hear, we continue to see, we continue to be well nourished, and we continue not to be dependent on anyone for our physical and other needs. So I found this is the best definition of health. And I am glad as Integrated and Health and Wellbeing Council, you are focusing on not just diseases, you are focusing on health and well-being. Coming to the theme for today, I will briefly talk about, a doctor has many aspects of his work, and each one of them contributes to benefit the society. You talked about at the cost of their own life at times, but it is not just their own life. It is they are also doing it at the cost of their family life. They are doing it at the cost of their social life. Many doctors don't find time to socialize. Even on the weekend, they are busy. If they are not busy seeing patients, they are busy reading about the latest developments in medicine, so they can contribute to improving life of the patients they come across. As a clinician, we have many. Some of us have been clinician in the past and move to more like public health aspects now. They are contributing every day to saving lives, preventing misery, alleviating misery, and contributing to saving limbs, which is the theme of this session. Multiple battles, one long war, saving life and limb from pandemic. For them, every day is a pandemic. Every life has to be saved. Every limb has to be saved. In pandemic, people become aware. But for a doctor, every day is putting their own life online to save life of patients. So let's understand what is a doctor's role as a clinician. Second is doctor's role as a public health physician. Dr. Pandav talked about it. I am also one. I remember when I was at a PHC, we used to run immunization clinics in the villages. One day my vehicle broke down, and one of the patients had come from the village, and he came to know that we are finding it difficult to arrange a vehicle to go to the village and vaccinate children who were waiting. This gentleman had come on a tractor. So in my life, I have also gone with my immunization team, sitting on a tractor, jumping on the road and going there for vaccination. That is life of a public health physician. So doctor performed this role as well. Third, life of a doctor as a teacher. He is not only teaching the patients, giving them health education, what to do and what not to do. He is creating more doctors. Dr. Govind Makharia, Dr. Chandrakant Pandav, and many others are still continuing to teach. So they are not only working as doctors, they are also making more doctors and making them more committed and dedicated to their work. The fourth aspect is research. And you talked about COVID vaccine. We were not expecting, I've been in public health for almost 45 years now. We were not expecting vaccine to come out so early, but doctors and other researchers got together, and in less than 1 year, the vaccine was available to vaccinate human beings. And in a couple of years, we have vaccinated in India, for example, almost 3/4 of our population has been vaccinated. So that is another aspect of research. What works in COVID, new disease, nobody knew. They came up with what works and what doesn't work. Research was continuously going on. So these are the four avatars, I will say, of doctors. There are some more. I will not go into detail. The next point I want to emphasize is healthcare is a teamwork. The attendant who calls out the patient for his turn to come and visit the doctor, the person who cleans the floors in the hospital, the nurses, and pharmacists, and there's so many other people who are involved. So let us look at not just doctors, let us look at healthcare team. This whole team makes the doctor more effective. If doctor by himself, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. He would have probably got paralyzed doing all the functions, right from cleaning to giving medicine. An important message today through this forum I want to give is we have nominal celebration of Doctor's Day. Gratitude. But who is looking at when a doctor joins services, his service conditions are the best possible a government can provide. He is given promotion on the due date, like bureaucrats, they get promotion orders. If I am to be promoted from 1st of July, I will get orders in June itself. Why can't that be done for doctors? There is always a backlog for faculty to be promoted. There is always a backlog for doctors to be promoted. This is one example. And the benefit packages in most of the developed countries is much higher than the bureaucrats' benefit packages. But in India, it is not done that way. We need to look at what is happening in other countries and give more attention. Service conditions should be much better. Their pay package, their benefits should be much better. I feel pain. I remember, if my memory serves me right, 1974, we had to go on strike because doctors who were doing MD, they were not paid salary. They were paid a nominal stipend. And fortunately, that strike was successful. For the first time, doctors started getting salary like regular doctors in the army. So improve their working conditions, their promotions, and other benefits must be there. Dr. Pandav referred to the pandemics in human history. More than 20, he said. I counted, actually it is 25. And I looked at its history documents. First pandemic 500 years before the Christian era started, so almost 2,500 years. But unfortunately, there have been 6 of 25 pandemics in last 22 years. The pace of pandemics has increased. They are becoming more common, they are spreading much faster, and they are coming more frequently. So we need to be careful to prepare for the pandemic. And these pandemics, as Dr. Pandav also referred to, are pandemics on top of another pandemic which is going on. To give you an example, we have non-communicable diseases. Diabetes, we are saying India is becoming the diabetic capital of the world, and it is increasing. Hypertension, high blood pressure, for cardiovascular diseases, cerebrovascular diseases, they are all increasing. So COVID pandemic came on top of all these pandemics. So they use the term syndemic these days. So when you have so we need to make sure that we take care of the existing health problem. And what happened in pandemic? Everything was closed down. A diabetic could not go and consult his doctor. A patient who had heart attack could not go to hospital because hospitals were closed. They were taking only COVID patients. So those conditions cannot be wished away. We need to address these conditions. Health system needs to be very strong. Health system should be able to take on pandemic, not at the cost of providing routine services to those who need it. Preventive and promotive care, Dr. Pandav made a very strong case. We have to focus a lot more on preventive and promotive care. And his 6 doctors for preventive and promotive care, I fully support that. So with that, I end my intervention for now, but if there is anything else, I will step in again. Thank you so much.
Kamal, in 1974, when we went on strike for raising the fees, I went on fast and sat in front of Dr. Karan Singh's house. I went and sat in 24 घंटे हमने fast किया था.
Yeah. So those who work in not only in hospitals but beyond their hospitals, those who work at the pharma plants, those who are ensuring that logistics, that medicines reach to the a pharmacy or a hospital on time, or those who are struggling on lab to kind of come up with new formulation, new medicines, new vaccines. So everyone is equally important, because this is where you are contributing to the saving of lives of and the limbs which you mentioned. So and an important other point which you have highlighted, I think we as ISW Council, we will also try to take these issues more about the working conditions of healthcare professionals, and definitely it has to be at par with what we see in any other developed country. With India is nowhere lesser than a developed country. We have the similar kind of strength and commitment and wonderful outcomes from our professionals. So we can do what they can do, and we have shown it in the COVID-19. So let me now go to Dr. Hema Divakar. Dr. Hema Divakar, as you mentioned, Dr. Sanjeev, and I think all our speakers are agreeing and highlighting the fact that COVID-19 was not the only challenge which the nation was facing. There are so many other diseases, and not only diseases, some natural conditions, like, for example, pregnancy, deliveries has to happen no matter whether it is pandemic or not. And doctors like Dr. Hema Divakar and the many other, the almost 40,000 gynecologists of this country too worked kind of tirelessly and in those adverse situations. So Dr. Divakar, you have been leading those teams. You have kind of contributed in terms of how to effectively keep providing these important essential services and life-saving services during the time of COVID-19, as part of your artist, and also as part of your work in FIGO, as part of your work in Foxy. How has been this journey, and how do you see it? Women health has had some, a large share of its problems, and COVID-19, as we are maybe expecting that a new focus will be going on the public health, on the health as as an overall area. Do you see that this new normal and the new focus on healthcare and the new realization is going to further strengthen the outcomes which you have always been striving?
Namaskar. Thank you, Kamalji, once again, and to all the beloved and distinguished guests and the audience. Once again, greetings from us from the beautiful city of Bengaluru, and happy Doctors' Day. And you saw that doctors, despite all the constraints and concerns, are happy because they have been able to feel a sense of satisfaction that they could do whatever they could contribute as their bit to making this world a better place. And you actually saw the evidence of Dr. Chandrakantji dancing away to express his joy as a part of our lifestyle as well. And one of the videos that you showed as a flashback, there was one sentence there said that because of COVID, the world came to a standstill. Yes, it did. But as far as women's health is concerned, there are two things which can never come to a standstill. One is in the reproductive phase, the menstrual cycles, which no matter what, just continues. And there was a lot of issues about access to the health and hygiene and sanitary pads and the trauma that many girls and women faced in that era, which became a big issue of the supply chain and the last mile. And of course, the whole world knows that those who were pregnant at that point of time have to deliver at the defined dates or in the time span. So whatever else stops the nature's way of procreation can not come to an arrest or a halt. And therefore, in the women's healthcare space, the labor, pregnancy care and delivery processes and the newborn care were declared as emergency healthcare services, which should not be arrested. So that placed an enormous amount of, anxiety on the doctors in our space, because we knew that we had to live up to the expectations of our girls and women despite any of the constraints. And the whole team of healthcare providers, they needed to be motivated. They needed their confidence built, because as a human being, however much you may speak, everybody is guarded about what can happen to them during the pandemic when they're out in the open and handling the cases. So we, through artists, had to do a lot of competency building programs to allay the anxiety of healthcare providers. Many in the smaller towns and districts had run away to their hometowns, and many of the workforce in our field, the paramedical staff nurses, are girls and women. So their families would not allow them to go back to work, and the gender constraint was very much obvious during that phase. So I think every attempt from every one of us to instill the confidence and get them back to the work very quickly, it happened because the sense of responsibility is more than the sense of fear of what can happen to us. We to go beyond that and keep to the service that we render. And the attitudinal change, I think for that we really have to thank the pandemic, because girls and women seldom look after themselves. And as how Kamalji, in many of your programs, you said the women is the last and the least of the food that she eats. And though her health is in her hands, she gives herself the last priority within the family circles. And I think that the realization of preventive care, what we have been emphasizing for so many decades, suddenly came to the forefront. Anybody and everybody recognized that to prevent illness and promote wellness is the best way to be. And so much about the sensitization about nutrition and immune system to be strengthened. So many tons of vitamins out there in the market being sold, being an indirect evidence of how people have suddenly started getting aware and trying to build their health. But my message to the audience is, everything cannot and should not happen as a knee-jerk reaction. It happened, we got sensitized, but it should not die down, and the attitude of preventive care should prevail, especially in the life course of the girls who have to embark into their reproductive journey. There are many, many preventive care that they must pay attention to, whether it's anemia care, as in our Shapath initiative, or the lifestyle and the obesity increasing multifold, which is again an eye-opener to a country like India with the triple burden of malnutrition, with the micronutrient deficiencies on one side and obesity on the other side. The chronic diseases like hypertensive disorders and the diabetes, which need to be checked ahead of the pregnancy. The vaccines, the COVID vaccines, when it came to the forefront, the HPV vaccine for cervical cancer, which is again another prong in prevention. All of these combined together, inclusive of contraception, to prevent the 15 million unintended pregnancies. So there are multiple things which came to the forefront, and they have stayed in the minds of the girls of the next generation, who are empowered and educated, and we are proud about that. So they have finally realized that they have to take care of themselves, and that is their coming forward with a proactive attitude for prevention and holistic view of the health has really supported us as healthcare providers, because we step ahead and they come a mile to join hands with us. And we are so proud and happy that Kamal has announced the Salute to Saviors banner, which has been put up in 120 of our maternity hospitals pan-India. Everybody to whom we sent the design were super excited about placing this in their own waiting rooms and the reception area of their own little maternity homes. And we've already gathered several pictures of several girls, women, families paying their gratitude to the saviors, because those who delivered in the span of the last 3 years and sought care in our space are indeed very, very grateful. And the expression of that gratitude is very inspiring to us. And yet again, we resolve and take the shapath that we will continue to do our best for all times to come. Happy Doctors Day yet again, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Diwakar. And again, you as you mentioned also that when pandemic stopped almost everything, and the whole focus shifted to providing the care, from the virus. It is also important and equally essential that we had to continue many other healthcare services, and one of that which is completely inevitable, cannot stop, cannot wait, was the maternity care or ensuring a safe delivery for pregnant women. And you and the whole community of gynecologists whom you have been representing in various of your positions, and they still work very closely with them. And as you mentioned, that 120 maternity center just came together to kind of give a platform for the gratitude week for people to express their thoughts and their emotions. You have done a wonderful work and a most essential service to the humanity at this time, and all your gynecologist colleague. So thank you so much. We express our heartfelt gratitude for that, and we believe that beyond this pandemic and before this pandemic, as you have always, and your community has always been at the service of the humanity and all those who need that essential care, will continue with better commitment and better outcomes, as which you always look forward to improvise the outcomes and addressing those long pending challenges and issues of women health. So thank you so much for your wonderful work, and wishing you a happy Doctors Day and the entire week ahead, and the every day is Doctors Day for that matter. So we have with us Dr. Suresh Kumar, Medical Director of Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital of New Delhi, which functioned as the nation capital's dedicated COVID-only hospital during a larger phase of pandemic. And as a medical director of this key public hospital, he led the fight against COVID-19 from the very front. So Dr. Suresh Kumar, thank you so much for joining us, sir. We all know how hectic had been the time of this pandemic, and especially those first two kind of waves. I believe that you are now getting a little bit more time for yourself, or maybe to look after the other aspects of disease care. But how has been this experience while we are trying to bring together the kind of feeling of thankfulness of the entire nation on this gratitude week, and which is starting from Doctors Day today? As somebody who was in the forefront of this whole fight, we would be happy and will very keen to hear some of those experiences from your side. And how do you see that the challenges which you faced as a frontline COVID warrior, how you feel that similar kind of challenges can be mitigated in the future for such this kind of situation?
Thank you, sir, for your kind words, and happy Doctors Day. It's a great privilege to be part of this great event which you are organizing, and we are very happy, excited about the event. Coming to the COVID crisis, which we were facing over the last 2.5 years, it was very tough time, very challenging time. In the March 2020, when we were declared as a dedicated COVID facility of 2,000 bedded. Now it's 2,000. Earlier it was 1,000, then gradually 1,500. Finally 2,000 bedded COVID hospital, the largest single hospital in the country. Till date, we have treated around 25,000 COVID patients. This includes COVID and post-COVID. And our center has the largest number of deliveries, 800 deliveries from Nayak Hospital alone around 370 cesarean section, and rest were the normal deliveries. We did 3,500 dialysis, and we have dedicated pediatric care unit, neonatal care unit, dedicated labor rooms, dedicated operation theaters for all specialties. And the journey was very tough. If we go back in the initial part of the pandemic, every doctor, nurse have fear in the mind. Nobody was willing to go inside the ICU, and the fear was real, because if we are infected, their family and children is bound to be infected. So when we put them on duty, doctors, they said, where will stay after duty? Yes, then few of doctors we kept in the hostels and the guest house of the Maulana Azad Medical College, but it was not enough. We have around 500 doctors for round the clock duty. So we have hired this 5-star hotel. So all 200 rooms were booked by us, and we have kept the doctors there and nurses. We have separate 3 hotels in the Karol Bagh area, and we have hired 55 DTC bus to transport our healthcare workers because there was complete lockdown. So to continue the clinical operations, clinical services for the patients, because this was the largest hospital of the North India. We were getting patients not only from Delhi, but from the Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, Meerut, this hospital, a lot of patients were coming. And we never said no to any patient. Whatever facility we had, we always welcomed the patient. And that's why this MEMC and Nayak has created history. And last week, we received a United Nations appreciation for the great work which we did for treating 25,000 cases. And we did around 90,000 vaccination doses from our centers. The big challenge was to have the ICU beds, oxygen beds. In the second wave, the big problem was how to give the oxygen, continuous supply. So oxygen was a major problem. And initially, we had the pipeline supply, the liquid oxygen supply only on the 150 beds. Rest we were managing on the cylinders in the 2020. But immediately after that, Delhi government asked us to upgrade our infrastructure, build more beds, more ICU beds. And in this course of 2 years, we had 900 ICU beds. All beds were connected with the oxygen pipeline. Now all beds are connected, and our capacity was only 3 to 4 ton per day before COVID. And now today capacity, LMO capacity, oxygen capacity is 55 ton per day. So huge 10 to 11 times we have built up our oxygen capacity, our storage, our ICU beds, our manpower, our technicians, the patient monitoring, help desks, casualty, critical care team, and the nursery. Because the nursery was phenomenal, and we had a very good Mansi nursery, which is famous, and we hold regular events in that. And you will be surprised that not a single death in COVID positive mothers. Whatever delivery we conducted, it was 100% success. So that was our success story, and I am proud and privileged that you are appreciating our efforts and our dedications. And it was a teamwork. Every doctor, every nurse, every technician has performed beyond their expectation. And I am, as a team leader, whatever success we had is because of team. And we lost around 14 doctors, nurses, technicians during this fight against COVID. And we are deeply saddened by this. And we hope that this size pandemic never strike again, because it's a great loss to the humanity and to the economy of the entire world. And system has, we have seen that how people were waiting in the ambulances for the ICU beds, and a lot of lesson we have learned. and we hope that we continue to create a success stories. And I also welcome my friend. He is additional medical superintendent, Dr. Francis. He will also would like to say a few words. Dr. Francis, yes, word.
Yes, it was indeed a great learning experience, and it was a novelty for everybody. It was a very hard time, and that we have come out of it on the right side, and we have managed to produce a very satisfying outcome. And it is justice that Nayak has got this position of great honor. And all due credit to the great team of our hospital led by our worthy medical director and all the hospital staff and doctors who work day and night to really in service of the people of this city. And all the credit that they deserve, it is truly deserved. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh Kumar and Dr. Francis. When I hear this, that how in this short span of time, not only you delivered the care which was needed by the people who were struggling for life, but also you were able to, build up such a wonderful capacity also. It's like building the whole ship while you are sailing. And not only sailing in the storm. I borrow my, one of the nice phrase used by or saying used by Dr. Sachin Bajaj, or another COVID warrior who did almost similar kind of work on the private sector. Long back in one of my sessions, he said that there are decades when weeks happen, and there are weeks when decades happen. This is the kind of capacity which was built. I think it's something which may take decades to build, which you did in a year or maybe 2 year time. And I'm sure that with this wonderful, the capacity now, we can definitely deliver better care to many more people. And though we should definitely wish that there is no such pandemic in future again, and neither any other remarkable wave of COVID-19, but at the same time, I believe that if something of that sort happen, people like you, institution like yours, and I think dedication like our Indian healthcare workers have, can definitely will always be there to protect us, to save us, as they did in COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2.5 years. We are very happy and excited and thankful to you for also kind of agreeing to be one of the venue of our gratitude ride, which is going to happen on Sunday morning, where a lot of bikers who are committed to social causes are going to visit in various hospitals of Delhi to kind of express their gratitude for doctors and nurses, paramedics, and even the cleaning staff who all worked as a team to provide care. And we look forward to kind of see you, meet you, your team on Sunday morning. And also, as you mentioned, that 14 noble lives were lost in this fight against the pandemic at your own hospital only. There has been so many people who have lost life across the country from the medical fraternity. I will have a small request to you, which, sir, we have been kind of raising all across, these 2-3 years of Gratitude Week, and also through our ISW Council, to set up gratitude memorials for these doctors and nurses who lost their life. I think in your wonderful premises of Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital, you should, and we will be happy to help in whatever way we can. There should be a small memorial for these 14 doctors and all other doctors who lost their lives during this war against COVID-19, which will help all those visitors, patients who will keep getting the benefit of care at your hospital, that there were people who lost their who sacrificed their today for ours tomorrow. So with this request, you may kind of put that proposal forward even to Delhi government, requesting that you wish to create a memorial which can be even inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister of the this city state. And I'm sure they will be happy to contribute and help making something of that sort happen. And LNJP should definitely, being the largest COVID care facility of our country, should have that gratitude memorial for doctors. So this is my small request. Rest, your work is seminal.
Sure. We will request the government. Once this pandemic is over, because pandemic is ongoing. So once this is over, then definitely it's in our mind.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. And again, my heartfelt gratitude from the behalf of, on behalf of ISW Council, also the entire, fraternity who, love to have good health, and, people of India, for your great work, sir. So let me now invite,
Can I intervene, Kamal?
Sure, sir.
Not just doctors, all healthcare providers of Nayak Hospital. We normally forget other healthcare providers.
Certainly.
We should include every. Dr. Suresh Kumar, my request is include all healthcare providers, including class 4, nurses, paramedics.
All are, these 14 people who are doctor, nurses, karamchari, every combined list. This is already combined list.
Very good.
Technicians.
That's wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. So let me invite Dr. Suchin Bajaj. As I had mentioned that despite, apart from being an investor, a healthcare builder, and health tech enthusiast, investor, board member, and mentor for many companies, the most important thing which I find in him is the a dedicated doctor who even worked on the front line of COVID war against COVID-19, leading the whole team of almost a lot of medical professionals from across 15 hospitals which Ujala Cygnus is running in Delhi and surrounding northern state of our country, in many of the northern states. So Dr. Bajaj, thank you so much again for joining, and also my heartfelt thank for you to take up the cause of Gratitude Week so passionately and strongly, making this be getting observed, all across your 18 hospitals now, in 18 different locations, and this gives a wonderful platform for people, for patients who are visiting your hospitals, to remember the contribution and sacrifice of the doctors who have, which has been made during all this COVID-19 time, or beyond that, and even before that. So again, your experiences, which you gathered during this whole journey, I'm sure you will cherish for the life, entire life, and it is going to give a lot of insights for you to further handle this kind of situation more effectively. We would like to hear some of them from you, and how do you, how did you see the whole healthcare professionals coming forward, despite their fear, which Dr. Suresh Kumar also highlighted, but they, ensured that they are on the call of duty, and then make sure that the essential care to the people continues. Dr. Suchin Bajaj.
Thank you very much, Kamalji. Wish you all a very, very happy Doctors' Day. And it's a privilege to be sharing the platform with Suresh sir. Suresh sir has been always an inspiration to us, and we've looked up to him with the way LNJP handled the COVID crisis, and they all stepped forward, and being the largest hospital in the country, and as sir said, conducting more than 800 deliveries very safely is, I think, something that they are justifiably very proud of. They also had the second plasma bank in the country, which was quite amazing. So we, of course, being in the private sector, of course, we can never match the scale that the government and the public sector has. But as you know, we tried our best. So I think the best was actually when the second wave hit. We all knew that everyone's best was not good enough. We had some very heart-rending stories on how people struggle to find beds, find oxygen, to struggle to see their patients and loved ones even. But we managed to set up a 1,000 bed field hospital with 308 ICU beds, which is still the largest field ICU in the country. And that was also completely free of cost for all patients in North Delhi. We also set up a 100-bed hospital at Prayagraj in UP, which is again completely free of cost. So these experiences were quite transforming for us. You saw the project Step 1 taking shape in front of your eyes. It started out as a WhatsApp group of 5 people and just trying to do something good. And then at its peak, it was having more than 11,000 doctors on the platform. And in a total, we did 9.6 million calls over these 2 years to COVID patients, which is quite unthinkable. Whatever you do in brick and mortar, digital always manages to trump you with the sheer scale of what it is able to do. And we also heard a lot of stories from our staff, from our doctors. Nobody stepped back. Everybody was there on the front lines, willing to work, and many of them lost their loved ones, their parents, their brothers, their sisters, and each and every one of them came back within a day or two, realizing what the gravity of the situation was. None of them said that, oh, we can't work anymore because our parents are not there or our brothers and sisters are not there. I lost my brother as well. And then everybody was back, within a day working again. So it was quite a reaffirmation of the goodness of all humans. We all have it in ourselves. I think in the just daily nitty-gritties, we just forget that how good a human spirit is and how empowering it is if we reach into it. And that is what I think the pandemic showed all of us. Unfortunately, it has started to veer away a little bit, and we are again hearing of cases of violence against doctors and a lot of issues again cropping up. But I hope when people do get angry at someone, they hope they do realize that it is more of a mistake than malice. And there is, humans are not computers. Even computers make errors, but it's not like people will. People should assume always. People should always assume a mistake instead of malice in any case that crops up. And I think that will lead to a much better environment for all of us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bajaj. I can also see you are traveling most likely because I can see the jugs on the road on the screen. So thank you so much. Despite all these limitations, you kind of connected with us, shared these important experiences and your thoughts. It has been really wonderful. As you mentioned, I closely been kind of seeing the way you, despite being relatively resource crunched private sector, and despite being a player which was not into, let's say, the top 2-3 for that matter, but you try to be at the help of people during the COVID-19 with much more dedication, with much more passion, and with much more commitment. Putting up a 1,000-bed hospital in the city of Delhi, dedicatedly for COVID-19 in a field hospital, is something, a remarkable feat, which organization of your size and stature has taken. And I'm sure this commitment to the public health and this commitment to the health of the people is going to take this brand to really great heights in future. And the kind of stuff was done, the kind of support was provided through a step one project in many states, for people who were recovering, who were, at their home, who were infected, but were not supposed to be hospitalized, but did require a lot of care, guidance from doctors, from experts, and your step one project did it really well. I myself was one of the recipient of that, and I was amazed the way I used to get calls on a very, very kind of precise intervals. So that is something which even and I'm sure the credit of this also will be going a lot to our governments, because you were kind of partnering with the government, providing this care on behalf of them. But we must all know that behind this wonderful care which we got in city like Delhi or in many other states, and I think Bangalore, in Karnataka, in Pondicherry, and many other states where your step one services were provided, lots of volunteers, thousands of volunteers worked without any kind of direct benefit, commercial benefit, providing care to the people who were ailing at home and recovering from this virus. So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful work. Keep doing this, and I'm sure that all this is going to kind of pay back. And the most important, I think, reward which people like you are getting is that a lot of affection and a lot of gratitude from people who really got help at that time of distress from doctors like you. So happy Doctors Day to you and to your entire team at Ujala Cygnus in all 18 hospitals, and kudos to their commitment and work. I request my team now, we could not play the video message of the Honorable Minister of Women and Child Welfare, Mahendra Bhai Manjapara. So if we can play that video, and then we would be concluding the session.
Namaskar. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council for organizing the Gratitude Week to pay tribute and commemorate doctors and frontline workers who played a pivotal role in mitigating the aftermath of the pandemic. The COVID-19 not only made us realize the fragility of human life, but also the significant role that doctors play in our lives and the sacrifice that they undertake to ensure our physical and mental well-being. The efforts that were taken by frontline workers during the pandemic can never be forgotten, putting their own lives and the health of their families at risk with selfless determination for sake of saving lives. They truly are our heroes in these challenging times. I would like to take this opportunity provided by IHW Council in the form of Gratitude Week to thank all the physicians and healthcare professionals of this country for their hard work, thoughtfulness, and commitment during this challenging time. The nation is indeed indebted to you and owes you the courage that helped us sail through pandemic. As we move forward, we know that the pandemic continues to evolve and the healthcare community must continue to deliver high quality care to all patients. The future of healthcare industry depends on the doctors of tomorrow. The pandemic has trained us all, including the medical fraternity, that the basis of healthcare in future should be humanistic, competent, and patient-centric. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So this was the message by our Union Minister of State for Women and Family Welfare, Women and Child Welfare, and he himself is a doctor, and kind of his words to the entire doctors community, to the entire healthcare fraternity is really important, and it shows that how the entire nation shares the feeling of gratitude for our healthcare workers. So with this, we would be concluding our today's inaugural session of Gratitude Week, but the celebration continues for the next 7 days. There are a lot of activities, as I said, that in over 150 hospitals across the country, several activities are being observed. You can go to any of those hospitals or to your doctors. We request the people of India to go to their doctors, give a flower of gratitude to them, to show your gratitude. This is the time when we can at least express our gratitude that we have not forgotten what contribution they made, how they protected our life during COVID-19. And not only that, even before that and even beyond that, it is going to happen. I think we have been joined by Dr. Syam Sundar also. Dr. Syam Sundar, are you with us? So before we close.
Yes.
Wonderful. So Dr. Syam Sundar, thank you so much for joining us on this Gratitude Week. And your work has also been very important as you represent the whole community of physicians of our country. Almost 18,000 physicians, and physicians have been on the forefront of war against COVID-19, because this is something they had to treat, whether it is in hospitals or through kind of online consultations and virtually. So Dr. Syam Sundar, thank you so much. First of all, my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of ISW Council and the people of India as well, for the wonderful work was done by your community, this 18,000 plus physician across the nation, and by you and your colleagues. We would like to hear from you, since you are operating from the city of Banaras, I believe. How has been the experience? We have seen what have happened in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. They always kind of hog the headlines on the TV channels. But I think this war was being fought at every city, every town, every village of our country. And you have seen one of that in one such city. How has been your experience, and what are the highlights you would like to share? And also, how do you see that this entire experience which we gone through during pandemic, the kind of strengthening happened for the healthcare system, as the head of Dr. LNJP Hospital of Delhi was just mentioning that how they kind of expanded their capacity so quickly, so dramatically, and from to ensure that the care for the people and as many as possible can continue. How has been your experience, sir?
Thank you, Kamal. It is really, I am very thankful for you to have invited me here. Role of physicians, I will put up the perspective of the physician's role in managing this epidemic. Now, knowing fully well the risk of associated with treating and managing these corona-affected patients, most of the physicians never wavered in managing these people and containing the infection. There was a threat to the lives of physicians, and many succumbed and sacrificed their lives. A large number of physicians died. Roughly about more than 1,000 physicians died in fighting this pandemic. It was not only the pressure on the physician itself, there was a pressure on family, friends, and society about the well-being of the doctor himself. I personally give you my experience also, that I was approached by a large number of patients, relatives, or friends just to get them a bed and oxygen. And I tell you, it was really heart-rending to tell them that I'm sorry, at the moment there is nothing we can available. Fortunately, DRDO made a temporary hospital of 150 bedded just in our campus, and that was a very helpful in managing these patients. Because, when the Delta variant infection came, it was really a panic of, I cannot tell you the height of the panic. And even we were spending sleepless nights, not only managing these patients, but our inability to help. However, there were many happy moments as well when we admitted serious patients who went into ICU, and then few days later they were able to walk out of the hospital, and that was a big boost to our morale. I think another point which I want to mention, another feat of physicians and the scientists, is the vaccine. I'm not sure because I was not there for quite a number of time, quite a considerable amount of time. But I think the vaccine product, discovery of the vaccine in 3 months is I can tell you this feat is unparalleled in the history of medicine. And I must congratulate the scientists and the physicians who made available these vaccines, and also the government machinery, the drug controller, who actually within no time approved these drugs for emergency use. And today, billions of people in India have been vaccinated, and I think this is one of the most important step as far as containment of this disease is concerned, because as you know, most of the people who have been vaccinated, number one, they may not contract the disease. Even there is a breakthrough infection, the infection is very mild and not life-threatening. As far as I am concerned, I feel that the doctors have been the example of dedication, selflessness, and putting their life at risk. Not only that, as I told you, there was a lot of pressure from relatives and friends to run away from this pandemic. But actually, most of the doctors, as you know, really help in managing the pandemic. And I think these were the brilliant example of a fight by the physicians. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Syam Sundar. Definitely a very, appreciable efforts were put by the entire community of doctors. And we can understand, as Dr. Suchin Bajaj just was mentioning that, doctors are also a human being. They also have relatives. They also have similar pressure. They also have fears, for life. But at the same time, rising beyond all this, and then attending the call of duty, ensuring that those who are struggling to get their care and their support and their help are not disappointed. They do not lose their life in this process. This is something what makes, if not God, then near to God. Definitely for anyone who was struggling at that time, getting a hospital bed, or getting a doctor, or getting getting oxygen, or getting remdesivir, or this medicine or that medicine, anyone helped was as good as a God at that time, because God himself will not come to help you. He will come only through some medium. And I think that one of the medium and one of the representation of God among us are doctors, are nurses, are all those who kept behind their fears, their limitations, their apprehensions, and put their life at risk, but ensured that the continuity of such an important support to the people in life continues. Thank you so much for your wonderful work, and we really appreciate and express our heartfelt gratitude for your efforts during COVID-19. As I mentioned, we are all across the country. We are observing Gratitude Week. We are putting up signature wall as various hospitals so that people, patients, they can remember, they can revisit that what happened when they came to the same hospitals a year back, and in much more distress. Today they may forget that, okay, today they may again start going back and looking for more, kind of a better hospitality in hospital. Dr. Suchin Bajaj can correlate with that. People look for hospitality in hospital these days, especially in private. So they can revisit that, okay, this was the same hospital we were struggling to get our foot in. So they can write their expression, their emotions, that okay, and they revisit and they feel that, oh, this was the hospital, these were the doctors who helped me, the nurses who helped me. I'm sure I'll request if you can also put in something in BHU campus. It will be wonderful to kind of give a platform for people to give expression to their emotion of for doctors and their gratitude. So thank you so much, sir. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, sir, your kind of concluding remark for the session today. Sir, you are on mute. Sir, you are still on mute. Yes. Now.
Thank you so much, Kamal, for this event, and it was a pleasure to listen to all the experts. In concluding remarks, I will say pandemics get attention of everybody, from politicians to bureaucrats to common man. But in a doctor's life, every day is saving lives, every day is saving lives at the cost of their personal life, at the cost of their family life. Please keep that in mind. And government, bureaucrats, and those who are in power must make sure that they make their work environment more conducive to let them do what they are good at doing. My two messages more for targeted for in country, and two messages more targeted because pandemic don't happen locally. They come from some other country. One is, we need to firewall or fence or protect, whatever word you want to do, is essential medical services. It was a tragedy. They were saying a hypertensive is more likely to die, a cancer patient is more likely to die, a diabetic is more likely to die if they get COVID. On the other side, all these OPDs were closed. If your diabetes is not controlled and you get COVID, you are more likely to die, more likely to have other complications or long COVID. So they must, and essential services like maternal child health, Dr. Divakar highlighted, and immunization. We had slided back in immunization coverage for children, and then we had to piggyback COVID vaccination on immunization services. We could have done much better on that front. Second is, we have learned very important lessons. Necessity is the mother of invention. Telecommunication, teleconsultation, telephonic consultations with doctors, healthcare providers became more comfortable, patients became more comfortable. So we can look at some of the things we learned during COVID time, and government needs to build them further, strengthen them further for regular services, and God forbid if pandemic comes in future, we need to do that. Pandemics, unfortunately, none of the pandemics we have seen in the history of 2,500 years, 21 pandemics, none of them started in India. If you want to point out one country where most of these pandemics started, it is China. The global community needs to put its foot down, investigate thoroughly as soon as possible, and hold these countries accountable. Millions of people have died, billions of people have suffered, and nobody is accountable. The evil should be controlled in the bud itself. We must make sure that these countries are held accountable, and we need to have a system in the UN, World Health Organization, or wherever, where you can hold these countries accountable, and they need to be punished for not taking action in time, for hiding the data when it should have been shared with the rest of the world, and then not allowing international teams for more than a year to come to the country and investigate. So that is one aspect, not for India, but India is a very important voice in the global community. We must make noise that we must make these countries accountable. No one is safe till everyone is safe. So the first outbreak anywhere in the world must be contained. Health is everybody's business. COVID appropriate behavior is everybody's business. Yes, as Dr. Shamsundar said, we did miracle producing vaccine in such a short time, but the vaccine, after it is produced, after it is in sufficient quantity, after it reaches everyone, takes time. So you need to take responsibility for your health, protect yourself so that the government can help you in protecting yourself. There was another phenomena which was noticed globally. We had vaccine nationalism. India, from the first production, sent some vaccine to the neighboring countries because if they are not safe, we are not safe. And look at the hue and cry which was made by politicians. And some of the politicians went to the extent of saying it is BJP vaccine, I will not take it. You know how much wrong information, misinformation was spread by some of these politicians, and nobody is accountable. There has to be a system that if they don't do things right, somebody should be able to. I don't know how many thousands of vaccines were not taken because of those statements. Vaccine nationalism again. We suffered. Our production came down for many months because US and some European countries stopped exporting some of the ingredients. There are about 200 ingredients required to produce vaccine. Many of them are not made in India. They stopped doing it. And it took a call from head of India, Shri Modi ji, to call the President of United States to lift that ban. You know, we have to make sure that this pseudo nationalism is not coming in the way of stopping these pandemics, which are a global problem. And again, no one is safe and everyone is safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. Definitely, all these are very important aspects. But the important point has been, or I think the phenomena has been that despite these hurdles, which came in many form, in many shape, in many multiple times, we saw, I think, a very clear commitment of the leaderships, of the healthcare providers, of the industry, to kind of rise over all of them and ensure that if there is certain or a temporary disruption, that disruption can be plugged as fast as possible. Nobody kind of stayed back to let that happen. Everyone tried to make thing better, and I think that is what we see as an outcome, that we have been able in this short span of time, which is, yes, there has been deficiency in certain areas. Those need to be definitely plugged, and I'm sure that with the experience of this pandemic, and again I wish that there should be no such pandemic in future, but I think we are living in an environment, we are living in conditions which are prone for disease, I think, breeding. So this may continue to happen, but what we have seen is that there can be a balance is created in the future, and this is what India has proved. Such a wonderful record of creating record vaccine doses and administering it, even to kind of giving it to the global community as well, along with the neighbors. So, and you yourself mentioned that we have seen a strong leadership taking strong decisions, sometimes criticized severely for those decisions, but at the same time, somebody has to act. And I think we acted quite well. And most importantly, the most important actions, contribution of our healthcare community, right from the pharma plant to the hospital bed, to the cleaning staff, to everyone in between. So thank you so much. And again, a big gratitude to all of them. And I believe this feeling of gratitude will continue to be there for all years to come, because we cannot live in today's scenario without a doctor helping us in protecting our health. We can have those 6 doctors, best doctors, which Dr. Pandav mentioned at the beginning of our session today. We should go, ensure that we have good sunshine. We should have good rest, exercise, diet, self-respect, and even friends. All that will help. But at the same time, all this may not protect you from an infection. And if infection strikes you, you have to go to a doctor. So we, through this IHW Council's Gratitude Week, are kind of giving, are exhorting people to respect your doctors and remember their contribution to your life, to your loved one's life. Thank you so much to all of you for joining on this Gratitude Week's inaugural session today on Doctors' Day, and happy Doctors' Day to all of you. Thank you so much.